Hello, in today's ThinkScape tutorial, we're going to look at adding an email account into Microsoft Outlook 2010. So the first thing we need to do is open up Microsoft Outlook, and then we need to go to File and click on Add Account. If you're using a previous version of Microsoft Outlook, typically you would find the settings for adding a new email account from the options or settings menu or something similar, and you can then click on add email account. So in our example, we're going to set up an email address for Joe Blogs, and Joe's email is joe.blogs@thinkscape.ie. So first thing we need to do is enter in the name of the person and their email address, and then add in the password. These details will have been supplied to you by ThinkScape in your hosting documentation when your website hosting was set up. Also, what you need to do is get the server settings that we need to use. We're now going to click on manually configure server settings here, and then click on the next button. And internet email is what we want to have set, so that's fine. Click on next, and then we're presented with a screen that's asking us for details for email server settings and passwords. Just to call out that in most cases people will set up a mail account called a POP3 email account, and what that means is when your email is collected, it's deleted off the server and it's now on your computer. The other option that some people will choose is called IMAP, and that allows you to keep the email on the mail server. And so, for example, somebody might want to have the email, they want to collect the email in their office, but they also want to see it at home. If you don't want to delete the email off the web server, then IMAP is probably the setting you need to choose. But that means you must use the IMAP mail server setting for your incoming mail server. This is all supplied in your web hosting support documentation. In our example anyway, we're going to use POP3. And so for the incoming mail server setting, you need to enter the POP3 mail server that was supplied in the documentation, which is pop33or.cp.blackknight.com. The outgoing mail server setting is dependent on how you want to set this up. We do supply an outgoing mail server setting in our documentation, which uses our mail server, but you may, depending on your setup of your system in your office or at home, you generally can use an outgoing mail server setting of your internet service provider. If you feel comfortable using that, just use that server setting. Otherwise, enter the mail server setting we supplied, which in this case is smtp1or.cp.blackknight.com. The next, we're asked for our username and password, and our username is the email address that was supplied to you. So in this example, it's joeblogs@thinkscape.ie, and then enter the password details that we supplied you with. By default, remember password option is ticked, which means that anytime you collect an email, it won't ask you for a password. If you prefer this to be an option, untick that box and therefore don't enter in a password here, and you're always then asked to enter in your password when collecting email. There are all the options you need to choose on this window. You do not need to tick require logons using secure password authentication. We do need to make one last change, and that is for the outgoing mail server setting. So click on more settings and then select outgoing server from along the top. And basically what we need to do is tick the box my outgoing server SMTP requires authentication. In Outlook 2010, the option is set as use same settings as my incoming mail server, which is fine. Basically, if you don't have that option in your version of Outlook, The username is your email address, so it will be joe.blogs@thinkskip.ie in our example, and the password is the same as we were using before. It depends again on the email program and version of Outlook you might be using. You may have been asked these details on the previous screen. Once you've saved that, then click on Next. And Outlook then does perform a test just to make sure that it can connect to the email server, and you can see it says congratulations, tests are successful. Click on Close and then click on Finish. And that's it, your email address has been added to Microsoft Outlook.